There was one massive shift in how I've thought about housing over the course of my life. Bigger than interest rates, bigger than market cycles, bigger than appreciation curves. It was the moment I had kids. For me, my personal real estate life can be cleanly divided into two phases: pre-kids and post-kids. Pre-kids, my housing priorities were pretty straightforward. I cared deeply about culture and vibe. I wanted to live somewhere that felt current, alive, and connected to whatever felt hip at the time. I cared about investment upside and being near the pulse. When I bought my first place, that led me to North Oakland. It was where I could afford to buy, but also where I felt most culturally engaged in the East Bay. It checked the boxes that mattered to me at that stage of life. And to be clear, those interests didn't disappear. I still care about those same things. But when I had 2 kids, those priorities dropped down the list a bit. Because once you have children, housing stops being about just you. It becomes more about stability and predictability. Values which my pre-kid self would say are a little boring. Once I became a parent, housing collapsed into 3 primary concerns. First, affordability. Kids are expensive. Childcare, food, healthcare, activities, everything adds up. Housing can't be the thing that financially suffocates your family. I needed to know that I could afford not just the mortgage, but the life around it. Second, safety. At the end of the day, all you really want is for your kids to be safe. And frankly, my own safety became more important too, because my kids need me. Safety stops being an abstract fear and becomes more personal. Third, schools. And this one is nuanced. It's not about whether your kid is on track to attend Harvard. It's about whether they're in an environment that's joyful, supportive, and allows them to thrive. But good schools matter. Those 3 factors, affordability, safety, and schools, became the lens through which I began to evaluate cities. So recently, I started wondering, why don't we rank cities based on these 3 things simultaneously? Affordability, safety, and schools. That's how the Happy Parent Index, or HPI, was born. So this is the HPI for 2025. Here's how I built it. Affordability. I used median price per square foot for single-family homes sold in 2025. Price per square foot gives a cleaner comparison across markets, better than median home price alone. Safety. I used crimes committed against people and property per 1,000 residents. That data came from Neighborhood Scout, which aggregates raw data from all 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States and assigns it to the communities where crimes actually occur. Because of reporting lag, the most recent complete data available was from 2023. Crime fluctuates year to year, so this is not a perfect snapshot, but it is a reliable baseline. And for schools, I used greatschools.org. I took every public school in a given city, averaged their scores, and produced a single composite score for that city. To help crunch the numbers, I enlisted a good friend of mine, Matt King. Matt is a procurement and planning manager for Mettler Toledo Rainin here in Oakland, and he handled the analysis with impressive speed. Matt normalized each data set using a min-max scale from 0 to 1, then applied a weighted scoring. Affordability weighted highest, because in creative real estate ownership, that is my biggest concern. Safety was second, and schools were third. So what cities did I study in the East Bay? I took 10 cities, and they were Pinole, El Sobrante, Richmond, El Cerrito, Berkeley, Oakland, San Leandro, Castro Valley, Albany, and Alameda. And I ranked them according to the HPI index that I created here. Some results were expected, some were surprising. At the top, we saw places that strike a rare balance: relatively attainable housing, lower crime rate, and good public schools. At the bottom, we saw cities that offer great schools but were dragged down by a high price per square foot, or a low price per square foot but high crime rate. And now, the winner of the first Happy Parent Index for 2025 is the city of Castro Valley, which I'll talk about here in greater detail. But I first want to look at some of the stats that kind of popped out of me on this chart. There are a couple of interesting pieces of information here. There's 2 cities that stand out here. Pinole and El Sobrante came in second and third, and that was driven in large part by the low cost per square foot of the housing, but they didn't quite come in. They couldn't beat Castro Valley because of the lower school scores. So those 2 cities, though, with low crime rates, low price per square foot, if they bump the quality of their schools up, you're going to see those two cities rise, and they're cities that I keep an eye on for affordability and like a lot, actually. Another city that jumped out at me was El Cerrito. El Cerrito came in at a median price per square foot of $754, which was just shy of Alameda, and that was surprising. So El Cerrito has really spiked. I thought El Cerrito would actually be higher in the list, but it's that high price per square foot that kind of put it in the middle of the pack there. And so, I've been talking about El Cerrito for a long time. I really like it. I'm still bullish on it, but it is become more expensive. Then you have Alameda down at 6th. Alameda has great schools. They came in at 7.5 on the school score, which is in the top of the pack there, but dragged down a bit by that high price per square foot at $804, but still a nice balance of factors there in that city as well. Albany and Berkeley. I live in Berkeley. I understand that it's an expensive city to live in. It came in at $911 per square foot, and only Albany was higher at $1,041 per square foot. So that's why they came in 8th and 9th, but very high test scores. Interestingly, not great crime scores for those two cities, but it's the price per square foot that's dragging them down to 8th and 9th. Finally, Oakland at the bottom there. Oakland has a affordable price per square foot per median, low school scores, and a high crime rate. So Oakland is pulling up the bottom. Oakland can be divided into 5 different cities. So, this is kind of a tough stat here for it to think of the whole city collectively like this, but it is what it is for now. So back to the winner. Castro Valley is an unincorporated community in Alameda County with a population of over 66,000 people. Because it's unincorporated, it doesn't have its own mayor or city council. Municipal services like police, fire, and public works are handled directly by the county. Nearby communities like San Lorenzo and Ashland operate the same way. The area is named after Guillermo Castro, a 19th century ranchero who once owned the land here. Today, Castro Valley is a classic family-friendly suburb, a bedroom community with real character. So what are some of the highlights to share about the city? Schools. This is where Castro Valley really shines. Several public schools score exceptionally high, including Castro Valley High School, Marshall Elementary, and Palomares Elementary, each earning 9s on greatschools.org. One reason? Parents in Castro Valley place a high value on public education and actively support it through parcel taxes, education foundations, PTA fundraising, and volunteerism. These local dollars often fund enrichment programs, counseling, arts, and smaller class sizes that go beyond baseline state funding. This community buy-in directly translates into higher quality school environments. Healthcare. Castro Valley is also home to Eden Medical Center, part of the Sutter Health Network. It's a respected hospital and one of the area's largest employers, offering comprehensive patient-centered care, specialized services, high patient satisfaction, and a strong workplace culture. Outdoor access. Castro Valley has tons of parks. Lake Chabot Regional Park is just outside the city, offering miles of hiking and biking trails. The Lake Chabot Marina allows boating and fishing, making it a major recreational anchor for the region. You can rent a boat and go out with friends and family for the afternoon, followed by a picnic. It's a really great place. Golfers have Redwood Canyon Golf Course, an 18-hole public course that winds through scenic, gorgeous terrain and emphasizes precision over power. I'm not a golfer, but I played here poorly once, but I loved walking around this golf course with a friend more than hitting that tiny ball into a tiny hole. Downtown Castro Valley, centered around Castro Valley Village, offers a blend of small-town charm and convenience. There are strong local restaurants, good retail, the historic Chabot Theater, and a well-attended farmers market. And one can't forget about the city's dedicated BART station, good bus transit, and easy freeway access. One thing I really love about this city is a piece of its architectural history. Between 1949 and 1966, one builder fundamentally changed how Americans thought about suburban housing. That builder was Joseph Eichler, and he was very active in Castro Valley. During that period, Eichlers Company built more than 11,000 homes across 9 communities in Northern California and 3 in Southern California. Together with partner firms building under the same vision, these homes became simply known as Eichlers, and they helped define modern residential architecture in the United States. So what makes an Eichler an Eichler? Eichler homes are a cornerstone of what we now call California modern architecture. They're defined by post and beam construction, expansive glass walls, and open floor plans. Ideas influenced by architects like Frank Lloyd Wright, but translated into attainable middle-class housing. From the street, Eichlers are intentionally understated. Flat or low-sloping A-frame roofs, clean geometric lines, vertical wood siding, and notably very few front-facing windows. Privacy was part of the design, but once you step inside, everything opens up. One of the best examples of Eichlers' vision can be found in Greenridge in the hills of Castro Valley. Built in the early mid-1960s, Greenridge includes roughly 200 Eichler homes designed by Claude Oakland and the firm Jones & Emmons. The neighborhood sits along a ridge line, and many of the homes enjoy sweeping views, some looking out over the East Bay and even the bay itself. Architecturally, Greenridge offers a mix of flat roof and steeply pitched A-frame designs, but most homes share the hallmarks Eichler is known for: central atriums, exposed post and beam construction, and expansive walls of glass. It's really fun to drive this area and see them and see how people have modified them to suit their tastes over the years. So, this is the first iteration of the Happy Parent Index. I'll continue to refine the data to help uncover some great places to own real estate in the Bay Area. Housing decisions change when life changes. What mattered to you at 28 may not matter at 38. And that's not selling out, that's growth. Affordability, safety, schools. When those three align, families thrive. If this framework was helpful, I'll continue refining the HBI and breaking down more cities. And if you're pre-kids, consider this a glimpse into how your priorities may evolve faster than you expect. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Creative Real Estate Ownership. My name is Josh Silverman. Please reach out to me via the comment section or email me here, and be well.